Hello and welcome to Top of the Game and some match preview. West Ham United against Birmingham City in the third round of the FA Cup on Saturday. I'm joined by Mike and we're here to discuss just how important is it and do we fear Birmingham? So let's just start with our opponents. Mike, it's the Dildo Derby on Saturday. Do you fear the blue side of the Dildo?
Dildo Derby, I'm loving that. I've not heard that expression yet. That's superb. Do I fear them? But they have to be respected, Birmingham. What are they, just outside the playoff positions in the Championship? Notable players they've got, I'm sure there are some. I just don't know who they are. I'm sorry, I don't know much about the team. But they're too well positioned to be absolute rubbish.
Yeah, I actually think they're a decent side. They're sitting 4 points outside the playoffs in the Championship right now. They're sitting in 8th position in the league. But what they've got, I find, is because I bet often, I know this, they've got 2 good goal scorers in the Championship. They've got Che Adams, then they've got another boy who I don't know how you pronounce his name, Djukovic or something, I'm not sure. And surprisingly, apparently, I don't watch Birmingham, but apparently Lee Camp, their keeper, is having the season of his life at the moment in goal. So that's another interesting angle to consider for Saturday. But Mike, considering they are sitting in 8th, if you're looking at this as a neutral, okay, from a West Ham looking at Birmingham point of view, should they be binning the FA Cup off and focusing solely on the playoffs? Bear in mind, we all moan about pile up. They've got an extra 8 league games a season to play as well.
No, I think that's the thing that's often put forward. You're on the cusp of the playoffs or whatever, but ultimately, it's a great chance to at least earn money for the club. If nothing else, you just want to look at it in commercial considerations, right? They've got an opportunity. They could beat us, They could beat us and go on. It gets the fans really excited. It gets another cup round in. And it's a chance as well for the players to do something different. I mean, I do think that there, especially in the Championship, a relentlessness to it. As you say, they've got a lot of 8 games. For a lot of the weeks, it's 2 weeks, 2 league games, and you're playing, your Championship rivals, and suddenly you're like, oh, off you go to the London Stadium, the former Olympic Stadium, to play a Premier League team that are doing, we're doing pretty well. We're 10th, aren't we? Do you know what I mean? So with Hardy Bobbins Premier League team as well, playing with a little bit of style as well. Let's see what we can get out of this. And I think the players will really enjoy it. They'll rise to it. It's something a bit different from them. It's something spectacularly different for the fans, let's face it. And it's a chance to swell the coffers a bit. It's a bit different again for the club. So I think that'd be silly just to go, okay, we're going to play the reserves and focus on promotion because, if promotion doesn't come, this is a great chance to grab a little bit of glory for the club.
I have to agree with you. One thing Birmingham do have is a really good record. They've actually only lost 3 games in their last 22. Now, they do draw a lot, okay? They're not winning all these other 19 games, so they do draw quite a bit. But it shows that they are hard to break down. They are hard to beat. They know what they're doing. They've got a game plan, and they're just teetering on the edge of the playoffs. So, but I actually fear them quite a lot, actually. They're not someone I was when the draw come out, we obviously thought, oh, hey, the whole 60,000 people in that ground are going to be singing songs like Karen Brady, David Gold, and David Sullivan for this one, and they labelled it up the Dildo Derby immediately, and it was all fun and games. But then when you think about it, actually, this is if they put out their first team, which I don't see why they wouldn't, you want to build momentum, if you like. They've got a week until their next game after this, so they should put out their first team, because if they do pull off a victory at the London Stadium, they then go into their next league game on cloud 9, absolutely buzzing, full of confidence and stuff, and they might end up turning these draws into wins off the back of this one fixture, and then going another 4 or 5 games. Instead of drawing 4 and 5, they're winning 3 of the 5. So it's a huge opportunity for them on Saturday. Actually, I think their advantage, if they've got one, is the pressure's all on West Ham here. They're not expected to win. They're expected to get beat on Saturday. So they should be turning up fearless. And if they do play as they have been in the Championship, and they have these 2 goal scorers in the team up front, etc., we could be in for a difficult time. They will be looking at us against Brighton, against Burnley, and thinking they've got a leaky defence, West Ham. They've got weaknesses, and we can get at them. They can get something. But apart from that, is there anyone you fear from the Birmingham team, or is your knowledge of Birmingham slim to none?
Slim to none. But interesting you said Lee Camp's having a good season, so I've always liked him as a goalkeeper. I always thought he's a really good goalkeeper, underrated. So it's interesting to hear he's having a good season. And Che Adams as well is a striker who's always scored wherever he's played. Do you know what I mean? So they've got players there that can play. And who's the manager there as well? The manager's pretty good as well, isn't he? I forgot who it is. So
I want to say it's Gary Monk, but don't quote me on that.
All right, okay. So I know they've got some. So they're going to attempt to play a bit of football, which will be good. I mean, make it for a more interesting game. But they are not to be taken lightly. You're not a. That's a tough division, that championship. Yeah, look at who's just one place above them. Whatever is it, Derby, or you've got like some really top teams in there. You've got some teams made up, and there are some, former international players, current international players in the championship now. Is not team to be taken lightly. It's a proper league these days.
It's the hardest league in the world. Football, I think it's the hardest league. But anyway, let's talk about West Ham. But before we do that, we have our boats on Saturday as always, but they're free. Entry is free for absolutely everybody. Long story short, we forgot to set it up ahead of Saturday, so we've only just set it up today. So it's only 48 hours, so we're just making it free and get as much people in. You do need a ticket, however, because we've obviously got capacity, so we can't have everybody turn up on the day, and then they're right, and there might be enough room for everyone. So get your ticket. The link is in the description below, but it won't cost you a penny. Reserve your space, bring your mates, come down for a beer and a burger, 2 minutes from the ground, and have a good time. Hopefully, before watching West Ham, have a good time on the park. But will they? Mike, how much rotation? FA Cup comes around, everybody says, let's rotate, let's play the finished players, the kids, etc. How much rotation do you want to see? Bearing in mind, we've obviously got an injury list bigger than a fit list.
I don't believe in rotating for the FA Cup. Primarily because I think it's an absolute, really, really important thing for West Ham. I actually think we could win the FA Cup this season. If you think about it logically, who can really stop it? I think on our day, if we played really, really well, like we did so against Manchester United at home this season, early in the season, we could probably give everyone a game. And you watch City, Liverpool, and these people with big Champions League aspirations play a slightly weaker team. I quite fancy us against them, Having said that, we have the issue of we have looked really leggy in the last two games. Really leggy. People saying, "Oh yeah, we're doing really well without with the injury crisis, without the big squad, whatever." This is where it showed in December, because as December went on, we just seemed to start running through treacle a bit. I felt we hit a bit of a brick wall, and around the Burnley game, Saturday I was at, and I thought, we got away with it really against Brighton as well. I thought the team, this is where the squad, they would have been rotated already, most of that team in and out, and we've got very little room to do that because of the injuries. So I think there will need to be some rotations, because some of them are just too knackered now. They just start. How many more games can Felipe Anderson play without a break? I mean, genuinely, I know they've got a week after this, so maybe they'll push him through for that one, and then he gets a week off after, But crikey, it's just like there are certain members of that team, giving up Felipe Anderson's play, spring to mind, that are just playing rice, just playing every game relentlessly. And I do think there is a certain amount of legginess in there. So we might need to rotate. I don't like that, but I would understand if we did purely for that reason.
Yeah, the three players that played 90 minutes every single game over the festive period, like you said, is Anderson, Declan Rice, and Diop as well. Diop's also played every single game. Snodgrass has started them all, but he came off at half-time against Burnley, so he got a slightly small rest, if you like. But then four players are the four players that have started every game over the festive period. Pellegrini's hand's a bit forced on this one, actually. He'll change his keeper up, he'll change his left back, but then after that, he's not really got much room to manoeuvre. And then all of a sudden, he's looking at the under-23 squad as to who he can bring in and stuff. I want to see our first team as much as possible without jeopardising anyone's sort of ability to play the following week against Arsenal. But this is, I know you're going to agree with me on this, and I'm going to ask you before we sort of predict what team we would like to see rather than what we think Pellegrini do. Because this is the most important game of the season for me, Mike. It really is the most important game because, for all the critics Bilic got, he only ever got put out of the cup by someone that finished in the top six that season. The only non-top 16 that beat us was Leicester, who went on to win the title that year. Then Moyes came along and obviously got put out by Wigan, I think it was. And, he didn't turn up against the League Cup against Arsenal. And we all got pissed off with that. Then we got put out by Wigan in the FA Cup not long after. Pellegrini is a cup manager, though. Even at City, he took the League Cup seriously enough. When they were going for the title, he still wanted that League Cup, and he got it. And I think he's going to go for the FA Cup. If it wasn't for the injury list, I think he would. But the problem is he's now got a bit of a dilemma here that he's got to protect some of his players, his assets. But how important is this game for you, Mike?
I think it's really important. it's a chance of silverware. And as I said to you earlier, I do think we've got a genuine chance of winning this if we've got in not just this game, but this tournament, or at least progressing really far. And Pellegrini is someone who wants to win titles. He just does that. That's what he has done traditionally. He's always done really well in cup competition, even the Champions League. He's done really well in. And I just think that he will take it seriously and he will want to do well. And I think we're capable of it. Because of that, this now becomes a pivotal point. We're a mid-table team. We're not going to go down. We already almost have enough points to stay up, don't we? Let's be realistic, right? So what are our aspirations? Well, we're not going to finish in the top 6 or probably 7. 8th is probably as high as we can get, max 7th and pushing all right. But we're 10th now. It's worth taking a risk, isn't it, now, and going for this? Because this is an actual title. This is a sure way of getting straight in without the ridiculous qualifying thing for the Europa League or whatever, and actually getting in right in the league points and knowing that you're going to be there and worth expanding the squad for because the games will be there, etc. So this is for real. And as I say, I genuinely think we could have a real pop at this, especially if players start coming back as the season progresses, you know. And so I think it's a really, really important game. I think it's probably one of the most important games of the season so far.
Have you came up with an imaginary 11 you wish to see on Saturday afternoon by any chance?
I kind of have, yeah.
Well, let's go with the back 4. Would you? I'll just say I'd assume you'll keep Adrian in goal for the cup, and as always, my back 4 I would like to see is Zabaleta, Diop, Oxford, and Masuaku. Now I know everyone's going to say Oxford, no, you can't play him, but seriously, at the end of the day, he's still a West Ham player, and he should be called upon until he leaves the club. He should be called upon as if he is a squad member, and this is the ideal game for him. And if anything, I think this is a chance to give the boy a lifeline, if you like, and say, listen, you're only playing because we've got injuries, etc. Reed's dead and Balbuena's injured, so here's your opportunity. Do you want it or not? Show us out there. And Diop just stays in by default because there's no other options, and Zabaleta because I know he had the flu, but he still only played 1 game out of the last 3 and stuff, and I'm hoping he's okay, but I just want to see us take this cup as serious as possible. Now, I know you're going to pick a different right back. I'm pretty confident you've got a different right back in your head because you like a certain under 23 player. But that's why I would like to say I think we need to keep our back 5 as Premier League as possible.
Let's make it clear here. I would as well, and that involves not having Oxford in it. I think Oxford won't be risked as an injury, if nothing else, because he's going in this window. I really think that, and I think that it would be a bit daft to play him personally. I know I get what you're saying, but I think he'll go with the 2 centre-halves we had in the last game, Diop and what's his name, Bonner. I think he probably will swap out and put Masuaku in, and I think that he almost certainly will play your mate Antonio at right back because of just putting. I know he's missed a lot against the injury, but Zabaleta's recovery time isn't what it would be if he was 2 or 3 years younger. So I do think that he'll play Antonio there, and I do see the sense in that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he'll play Antonio as well. But we're talking about what we want to see. What do you want to see at the back 4, or is that?
If their fitness thing wasn't an issue, I would put Creswell and Zabaleta in. I'd also put Fabianski in goal, but hey.
Interesting. In midfield, what would you like to see across the midfield?
Well, out of the players that are fit, I would stick with the 4-4-2, which I think he will do because he likes playing that. I would probably play Noble, who hasn't played that much actually, and Rice again in midfield. Rice is pretty indispensable now. And I would still stick with Felipe Anderson and probably start with Snodgrass with an eye to Diangana coming on for a big chunk of the game. Yeah, so I would have thought maybe a half-time substitution, even if we're winning. Do you know what I mean? I'd still bring him in and just to look to rotate that position there. Yeah, what about you?
Well, I would start Noble and Obiang in the middle, actually, and say one of you are starting against Arsenal alongside Declan Rice. Who wants it? Now, we all know that Noble is going to be starting against Arsenal. He's earned that by his performance against Brighton. We know that. But Pellegrini doesn't necessarily need to tell him that. I'd put them both in. I'd rest Declan Rice. I wouldn't even have Declan Rice in the squad in all honesty because I feel bad leaving out Connor Coventry because I would like to see him at some point as well. But for this one, I would put the 2 senior players in there and say that you both have only played 2 games each or whatever. over the festive period. It's not that much. So, turn up and dominate this midfield. Run this game like you should be doing. Your Premier League players against a championship club. Regardless of how good they are, you two should be running this from start to finish. You should be controlling the tempo, dictating the play. There's your challenge. But I know he'll play Antonio right back. I would have him in mid on one of the wings, and the other wing I would have Nathan Holland. I think if there's only a 23 player we're going to see on Saturday, it's Nathan Holland, and he's the one I want to see. He was just very, very unfortunate to pick up his injury when he did, just before Pellegrini came in. He's back now. He's fit now. He's been playing for the under 23s. So let's get him in the first team. Let's see what he can do and give him a shot.
Yeah, I actually think we will see Nathan Holland at some point on Saturday. I just don't think he'll start him. But again, I could see him being rotated in for a good chunk of the game. Definitely, at least half an hour.
And your two up front.
I would go with Silva and Arnautovic.
Is exactly who I would pick as well for obvious reasons. We don't need to discuss them. We all know why we would pick Arnautovic and Silva, but that's the same as me. And one player that will be on the bench, Mike and Pellegrini said he can play 15, 20 minutes as Samir Nasri. What do you make of his signing? Are you looking forward to seeing him on Saturday?
I am. I'm going to trust the manager on this one. My issue with Samir Nasri, he has the most punchable face known to do football. Do you know what I mean? You just want to punch him in the face, don't you? He's got that smug look. But let's just talk about him as a player. He does have quality, he did have quality. I doubt it's vanished into thin air. It's whether he's fit, etc. I'm going to trust Pellegrini on this. He is that sort of slippery attacking midfielder that we could do with, add some creativity. So it would be interesting to see if he does come on, even if he comes on 15, 20 minutes. It would be fun to see what he can do. And I think it was a quite shrewd acquisition. We've got him just to the end of the season with option for another season, if I remember correct. Is that right? Yeah. That's a very good deal. It's we've got control of it. It's in our favour, isn't it? If it doesn't work out, it's not that much money. We're not stuck with a player who's a liability once Lanzini and co return. Because he is in the Lanzini role, isn't he? Let's face it.
Mike, may I have your final thoughts on this fixture, please, as well as your score prediction?
Right, must win for us. I think it'll be an entertaining game. I think Birmingham will have a go. And that will hopefully play into our hands. I think we'll win 3-1.
I think the magic of the FA Cup will be alive and kicking on Saturday, actually, from both sets of fans. I actually think this will be one of the best sets of away fans we'll see at the London Stadium as well, to be honest with you. I think they'll generate an atmosphere for sure. And I think it'll be an interesting game. I'm going to go for 2-1 West Ham. I think we'll win, but I think it'll be tough. They're hard to break down, but I think we'll get there. And so hopefully quality will shine through come the end of the final whistle. But Mike, thank you very much for joining us. If you guys have been, well, first of all, make sure you come to the boats on Saturday. The link is in the description below. Free. It doesn't cost you anything. So if you haven't tried them before, come along and give them a try. Have a beer and barbecue with us before the game. And enjoy the video, drop a like on it, and of course subscribe if you're new around here. I'll be back just after the game. I can't make this one. It's too close to New Year, etc. for me. So I'll be back on this channel straight after full time with a couple of guests giving our opinions on the game, and on the other channel at the same time you'll be hearing from Gonzo and a couple of others who were at the match. So anyway, don't go anywhere. We'll catch you soon, and hopefully see you on Saturday afternoon. Come on, you Irons.